Sure.
I'd like to call the July Board of Legislature meeting to order. And if you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a moment of reflection.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a few housekeeping notes before we do roll call. The room is set up socially distant, so everybody is apart and abiding by the guidance. We do have people, I believe, waiting downstairs, so as people speak, we'll rotate out, we'll rotate people in. So with that, we'll begin with roll call of members, please.
Legislator Drake, McBride, Johnson, Monticelli, Jarrow, Peck, Maxson, Cantwell, Reed, Grant, Nabawanek, Clarko, Doldo, Ferris, Gray.
Here.
All present, Mr. Chairman.
That's a wonderful thing. So next, we'll have a public hearing on the 2020-2021 JCC budget. If anybody would like to address the board regarding the JCC budget, please step forward. None? Don't go too far, Bob? Oh, yeah, you do. You do. Okay, we'll close the public hearing on the JCC 2020-2021 budget. Privilege of the floor. We'll begin privilege of the floor. If people wish to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and if you can keep your remarks to right around 5 minutes or less, we would greatly appreciate it. We do have other people waiting to speak. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. My name is Rick Wiest. I live at 355 Pauling Street here in Watertown. I like to feel that I represent small businesses in the area, specifically the martial arts industry. I'm here tonight for a question, and I guess it's fair to say that these proceedings, I'm embarrassed to say this is my first one.
Okay.
You people hear a lot of complaints typically, I'm sure, a lot of complaints about what's going on in the county, but I'd like to say to Mr. Gray, I really appreciate what you did. I came here tonight with a question about my industry, and I was informed that we couldn't get an answer back and forth. So I was pretty disappointed, thinking I was going to leave here not knowing if I could open my business or not. Martial arts is a high-risk business. And I'm not a Philadelphia lawyer. I apologize to any lawyers present, but you have to be a Philadelphia lawyer to understand the rules and regulations on the governor's site. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just that it's very in-depth. We're high risk. To open a business, you have to be low risk. It doesn't say specifically martial arts schools can operate in low risk and open. You have to interpret that. Well, I don't want to be fined $10,000 for interpreting something wrong. So I came here tonight to get an answer, and I found out that I couldn't. But Mr. Gray went in the back room and texted the governor's office and got me an answer like in 10 minutes. So I appreciate that effort. I just want to say that I've spent 18 years of my life building my school up, and I'm sure other small businesses, restaurants, the mom and pops in the area have done the same. And we're on the verge of losing everything we've worked for. So it's important that people understand we have to open, we have to run our businesses, we have to be given a chance to complete and run the businesses that we started. And what really infuriates myself and other people that I've talked to, other people in the business industry, that not only martial arts, but any business, is we abide by the laws and we abide by the things we can't do. I've been shut up for 4 months. People have still paid. I've lost some. Struggled to pay my rent last month. And yet I can go to Walmart and I can go to another convenience store and people disregard the rules. They walk around with no mask. There's no social distancing. And yet those businesses act in impunity. I just don't understand. And I know the governor said in his latest edict about a month ago that businesses can enforce it. He doesn't say that they are enforcing it. He said they can enforce it. But when one of our senior black belts, who's my age, in their 60s, asked about it, a senior manager at Walmart took her tag and turned it over because she says, I don't want my name mentioned. But corporate has told us we're not going to abide by that. We don't care what the governor's office says. Well, that's great. But my question is it just the laws only apply to you if you're big enough that you can disregard them because of the sales or the type of business it is, the essential business? All I'm asking the county to do, and I know, Scott, through the article, you're doing your best to do it, but we have to make it fair for everybody, the small businessmen and the Walmarts. You go to Beeville and you go in Hobby Lobby, they got a sign right on the door. But not only do they have a sign like Walmart has, you go in the store and they'll say, excuse me, you have to put your mask on or you can leave. And you go to some of the auto parts store out by Walmart and the same thing happens. You walk in there, there's a young man behind the counter, he says, he wasn't quite as nice as that. Put your mask on or get out. Not to me, but someone else that was there. So thanks for the opportunity to plead the case of small businesses. But we want everybody to understand this is life or death for us. And we just want the playing field level. If we have to abide by the rules and wait 4 months and Walmart doesn't because they're essential, they should at least abide by the rules. And the governor's office should know this through you guys complaining, as Scott has done. And that's really my only point tonight, because he answered my question, and thanks again for that.
My pleasure.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss.
Yep.
Next, privilege of the floor. Anybody else? Please step forward, state your name and address. 5 minutes, please.
My name is Jeffrey Stevens. I live in Adams Center. I've been paying close attention to the numbers pretty much on a daily to weekly basis. And from what I gather, there's been about seven deaths total out of the Tri-County, 4-county area, out of 360,000 people. My concern is, like Mr. Weiss said, the long-term ramifications. Just like long-term war and constantly being at war, suicides, loss of businesses, loss of jobs, et cetera, et cetera. Jefferson County consistently ranks in the top 4 or 5, or shall I say the bottom 4 or 5, for unemployment rate within New York State. And here we are tossing jobs aside, picking winners and losers, which that I just added in there when Mr. Weiss was talking. You have big companies that can operate and small ones that can't. Right off the bat, they decided to divide people and call people essential and non-essential. I've said it for years. I was in the military for over 20 years and retired out of the Army. When there's non-essential workers that work on Fort Drum, if they're non-essential, why do they have a job? If you work for the government, if you work for a business, and you have a job, we're all spokes in a wheel. We're all essential. You're essential to your family. If you have bills to pay, you have mortgage to pay, you have a car payment, whatever. You are essential to your family. I don't like that term at all. If you want to call medical doctors and nurses and fire and police, call them critical workers. Essential is just one more way to divide the populace. If you have a job, you're essential to that business. Whether you're mopping floors, whether you're whatever, it doesn't really necessarily matter what your job is. You have a job. If you weren't essential, you wouldn't be there. I see a lot of individuals getting worried about people not wearing masks. If people are concerned about their safety and their welfare, and they are in that category, and they have COPD or they have this or the underlying conditions, those are the ones that should stay home. The people that died, the 7 people that died within this county area were all essentially 65 or older. People with pre-existing conditions, not healthy individuals. Also during this pandemic, essential services were cut down. They closed the DMV, right? I know how New York State likes their money. I was really shocked at that one. Like, they couldn't put plexiglass up there. I mean, people couldn't register vehicles if they got them, if they bought them at private sale on Craigslist or whatnot. It's already a concern for many in this county. Pistol license applications. It takes over a year to get them anyway, and then you shut that process down. I didn't know our rights were, dependent upon, a pandemic or what. There's a little book here, a Constitution. I've read it a million times. It's pretty well worn. Just because we have something going on doesn't mean you're going to shut down the Bill of Rights. Have anybody read that thing here? Seriously. That's pretty much all I have to say. I don't like picking and choosing winners. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to lose businesses. That's sad. That's really sad. I mean, we already have a hard enough time up here in North Country, weather-wise and whatnot.
Thank you.
Oh.
Next. Anybody would like to address?
My name is John Hall. I live at 1381 Washington Street here in Watertown. And I'm also chairman of the Jefferson County Democratic Committee. My message this evening is twofold. First, I would like to recognize and thank the Democratic Commissioner of the Jefferson County Board of Elections, Babette Hall, for her service to the Democrats in Jefferson County. Mrs. Hall, no relation, will be retiring at the end of July after 25 years at the Board of Elections.